All right, let's quit simpin' and let's get pimpin'. This is my GigaChad design playbook, and you're about to get nothing but gains. What's GigaChad design? GigaChad design is about gains! Now, first, we are going to look at the ideas. We're going to look at philosophy and the ideas that undergird GigaChad design. And then what we're going to do is we're going to root those ideas in methods. So I'm going to give you real world studio tools, actionable shit, things that you can do in the studio. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at examples. The first thing that you're going to need to grok is Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, or the overman, the overhuman. It's the protagonist in our play, and it's the goal. Now, check this. The Übermensch represents humanity's potential, effectively, to evolve beyond limitations. It's the idea that rejecting external authority in favor of a self-determined purpose. Now, the really important idea that we're going to focus on in this process is the idea that the Übermensch is concerned with this thing called the Selbstüberwindung. Now, what is this bullshit? Well, it basically means to relentlessly push beyond limitations intellectually, physically, and creatively without being restrained by fear, guilt, or external expectations. Now, the life of the artist can be a heroic endeavor. So bring it home, Elliot. What does this mean to you? What does it mean to you? Well, it's about artistically saying fuck off to external pressures. It's about realizing that the terrain of powerful art is in the matrix, lies in the matrix of the unknown. The Übermensch rejects thou shalt, rejects oppressive societal expectations.
Everyone's doing this new Swiss modernist thing. Maybe my work would look cool if I could just figure out that style.
It's about confronting the natural fear of individuality. This was me. Just a dude grinding. Not in the cool, self-made entrepreneur way. Nah, grinding levels in Call of Duty. Grinding my spine into this couch. No job, no plan, just vibes. Then one day I realized I might actually be rotting. So I got a job, a real job. Design firm, marketing firm, same thing. A creative gig where the creativity part died somewhere between slide 46 and 47 of this PowerPoint proposal for a corporate rebrand no one actually cares about. This was the dream, right? Right? Every day I left a little piece of my soul on these streets. There shouldn't have been a problem. My LinkedIn bio said, passionate about branding and storytelling. But let's be real, I was passionate about not wanting to die in a cubicle. So I did what any self-respecting man at rock bottom would do. I hit the gym hard, no more couch rot, no more PowerPoint prison, just gains, just grit, just becoming him. Now, if truth be told, that wasn't actually my story. What's the main difference? Well, I wasn't stupid enough to waste my life on the couch playing Call of Duty. That shit is the absolute road to nowhere. Now, from the jump, I've been self-disciplined because I've always been passionate about branding, stranding, and storytelling. It says so in my LinkedIn bio. Oh, and by the way, my passion is Boffery. But let's get down to business. What you need to do is, let's quit simpin' and let's get pimpin'. Now, existentialist thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus emphasize that meaning isn't found, it's created through our actions. Now, Sartre's idea of bad faith is really key to the GigaChad design ethos. So what does this mean? Well, bad faith is basically when someone denies their freedom by claiming that external factors control their actions. You are fucking responsible for the quality of your work, your career, and the broad outline of your life. You're responsible for your art and for whether it's any good or whether it sucks ass. So now quit simping. In both Nietzsche and Sartre, we find the ideas necessary to get gains. So let's take a look at how. Let's take a look at how. How? Well, this is Stephen Covey's quadrant system, and this is not, let me see if I can get in there. Yeah, this is not some bullshit. How are we going to do that? Yeah. This is not some bullshit. So you really should pay the fuck attention to this, and I'm going to try to explain this very succinctly. This is some Ubermensch GigaChad studio type magic shit, and it's from business management, but it has profound implications for a studio practice. Covey, so this dude Stephen Covey suggests that all of our activities fall into one of four quadrants. Now, quadrant one is urgent and important activities. This is the shit that in the near term most often puts food on your table. It's crises, it's the phone calls and deadlines and pressing problems of the day. It's the shit that we must deal with, right? Now, quad three are interruptions and meetings, unimportant tasks disguised as urgent. This is the bullshit that we deal with when we work. You know, it's this notion that we go to endless meetings regardless of whether we're independent artists or designers or whether, in fact, we work in a design firm or whether we work at a corporation, but they're the endless meetings that amount to nothing, that give the illusion and the appearance that we're actually making work. And then in quad four, we have time wasters, distractions and trivial activities. Now, this is the bullshit like grinding on Call of Duty or fucking GTA. This is basically how we piss our life away on trivial and meaningless shit. And in this quadrant, I am not talking about stuff like walking your dog in the woods or other meaningful activities in quadrant four, but largely we spend our life online doom scrolling or playing GTA or fucking Call of Duty. This is meaningless and trivial bullshit. Now, quad two is where the action is. This is where I would suggest that the studio life actually happens. Think about this. This is not urgent, but important activities, right? Planning, working on long-term projects. This is the shit that matters. This is where studio work happens, so pay the fuck attention. Really think about this, particularly when you're a young artist or designer. This is one massive component of the picture, of the whole thing. These, in this quadrant, are the tasks that you don't get paid for. They are the non-essential tasks, but they're the most important tasks. These are the projects, the paintings that you need for a show, the novel that you need to write. They're the music for your first release, the app that you need for your startup. These activities get pushed to the bottom of the heap, particularly when you're young, because you need to put food on the table. In my own career, after reading this book, I spent a tremendous amount of time on a project called Throwing Apples at the Sun. I worked for Elektra Records and did freelance work for Atlantic Records at that time. And I spent my mornings working for Elektra and Atlantic doing design work and paste up and bullshit. And I spent my afternoons working on Throwing Apples at the Sun. I was not being paid for that. That was important work for me. It was 30 minutes of music and spoken word tracks and interactive performance work. That work actually kicked my career off. But what I had to do is I had to have the self-discipline to work in that quadrant, in quadrant four, the one that we're looking at. Not urgent, but important work. So what I would suggest is that you wake up and spend time on the difficult shit that is not urgent, but is important to your life's work. So pay attention right now if you're confused. If you're in the studio and you're confused about what to do, I would suggest that this next point is the single most important issue. And what is that? It's consistency. Consistency is to artists what practice is to musicians. There's magic in consistency. Daily engagement isn't just repetition, it's refinement. Each mark, each decision compounds, building fluency in both craft and vision. The magic of consistency is that it transforms effort into intuition, making what once felt difficult second nature. Here's a real-world example of what I'm talking about. Day 35. What we see here is a time lapse of a daily painting practice. Now, I've compressed about 45 minutes into 30 seconds. This time lapse is a simple monochromatic landscape study in sap green. So day 36. Same time in the morning, around 8 a.m. to around 8:45 a.m., a completed landscape study in about 45 minutes. Now, each day, each successive study picks up where the last one left off. In each study, I modify one element. I ask simple questions, like, what if the sky was sap green with the introduction of a bit of Payne's gray in order to cool the sky down a bit? There's an expression, if you leave a painting for a day, it leaves you for 3. If you leave the creative practice for any given time, the creative practice leaves you for an exponential component of that time. Day 42, I introduce the figure into the landscape. So let's jump forward to day 44. This is a time lapse of another 45-minute study. The landscape studies are still intact, but here they take the form of this potato figure in the middle of the panel. The studies have slowly grown from landscape into figures. Day 47, I redrew the potato study on the iPad. The important thing here is that we see an unbroken chain. We see 45 minutes every day, no matter what, picking up conceptually, formally, materially where we left off. Then, while translating this daily study into a screen print, returning to landscape painting daily studies, leaving the chain unbroken, getting into a sustained flow state, returning to see what else can be learned from the study, seeking a place to branch the work off again into a new direction.